little bit of a controversial one, and probably going to boot us off some press lists, but just
I know.
what? Just
Yeah,
throw it away.
just throw it away, you know.
Who are going to be the winners and losers? You're watching Max Talks, or are you? Or are we?
Are you watching KC Talks TV?
Well, exactly that. We are having a bit of a collaboration here because we are at the Everything Electric show here in Farnborough. And between us, we're going to have a talk about some of the things we've seen here at the show, what we like, and maybe some of the things we don't like. I think we can tap into that subject as well. So why don't you kick things off? What's been impressing you?
So there's been kind of two cars I would say that have been impressing me the most. First of all, the JQ E5. I have actually had a look at the Omoda E5 already, and I thought this was probably must have been, I can't believe I'm saying this, nearly a year ago actually, since I was looking. And it was an absolute bargain. I think I got quoted for 20,000 miles. I think it was £280 a month, £280 down. So I then bought an Ioniq 38, as a lot of you may know, and I absolutely love it to bits. But that JQ E5 though, it looks, I think, the business, I'd say. Range, I think it was 250, I want to say.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've got the notes here. Looking at it. It's around about 288 miles.
Oh, wow.
207 horsepower from its 61 kilowatt hour battery. So yeah, so it's good. I think what impressed me about the car is not only does it look really good, but I think price wise, it's coming in at like under 28 grand.
Well, this is the thing, you see, I think, yeah, the base model, which isn't basic in any way, it's still got all your mod cons and everything, I think was 27,500.
Yeah.
Put it this way, as far as I'm aware, last time I looked, a base model petrol Golf is now £27,000.
Yeah.
The Dacia Sandero, that's gone up £1,000, and that was annoying because I had to edit this bit in the video when I talked about it on the Leap Motor TO3. It's now £15,700.
And this is and it's kind of baffling as to how these cars coming over from China are coming in at this price point. I mean, I was looking earlier at the Ford Puma Gen E, and it was sort of like similar sort of money, but with the JQ, you're getting a class of car up, and arguably you're getting more spec for your money. And I really like some of the features, like with the camping, where you can actually have the speaker that you would actually use to warn pedestrians of the car approaching. You can actually play the car stereo through that, so you can have like a camping mode, they called it.
I believe they give you a microphone as well, so you can do karaoke, which also plays out the front speakers, which they have told us explicitly on the press talk that you can't use it while you're stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
Which is a bit annoying because I would love to play out Share, I don't know, halfway through, on the M40 or something like that. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, the other thing was they had like proper like pet carriers. So they had like a cat carrier. They said it was a scratching post, I think it was. I mean, I think those little tiny features just, it gives a bit of personality to the car. And it also, if they are aiming it for pet owners, it's got dog mode and all of that.
And I think that's one criticism that a lot of Chinese cars have had of late is they haven't, a lot of them have come over, they look quite generic, quite, and I think to a certain extent that there's some truth in that. And I think the reason why JQ is probably doing so well is because the cars just look good. And I think that's part of the way to getting to appealing to customers, which kind of leads me on to the car that I was really impressed with, and that was the Mazda 6e. Now, we've had our first chance to see that car here at the show. What were your first takes on it?
I mean, the thing is, it looks just like the previous gen of petrol Mazdas. It's got the front, is it Kodo design, I think it is, or something like that. And it's got a rendition of that, so a reinterpretation. It's got that absolutely, did you see the light bar as it unlocks and things like that? That is great. The other thing is, though, is that it's, especially now, I'm actually starting to think it's getting a bit more crowded in the market. So you've got things like, obviously, the Tesla Model 3, the BYD Seal. That Mazda 6e has to fit in that.
I would probably go as far as say I would, having sat in that car, I'd put it on par with BMW.
Yeah.
I think the quality of what Mazda's putting out, and there's a the Japanese have not always been the best at doing interiors, but I felt that the that car it just oozed class. I mean, there's only so much you can do nowadays with a couple of screens and some cup holders, but I just think the way it was just really nicely appointed, and because it's Japanese, it's just going to go on forever.
Oh yeah, it's probably. I mean, that at that point we need to start worrying about battery longevity. I think if it's a Japanese car, it's going to go on for absolutely ages. The other thing, and I completely agree with that. When you sat in the interior, for example, the quality was up there with BMW. I would say though that I'm starting to think that sometimes BMW's quality has gone down rather than Mazda's quality has skyrocketed up. I
Yeah.
was in an iX1 at the British Motor Show, and if I'm quite honest, yeah, it was well appointed and everything. But is it well appointed for something from like a previous generation BMW where you had a lot more kind of, I'm pretty sure you had a lot more brushed metal and things like that. It was a lot
Yeah.
of plastic.
Well, I think if you certainly look at, say, like some Mazdas of old, and we'll put up some footage of my 2008 Mazda MX-5. It is plastic
Yeah.
fantastic in there. It is built to a price, and you can see that. But I felt like sat in that Mazda, it's just like, you know, a car to me. It's got to be, I mean, I love a sports car as an X guy, but one thing I always say is a car has to be as good at 5 temps as it is at 10 temps. And sometimes you are just going to be sat in traffic and you're just going to want to be, you know, it's just a nice place to sit. And we were talking off camera and we were sort of saying like electric cars now, before there was a clear market leader in every segment,
Yes.
because there were few and far between. And now I think we're starting to converge products. We're getting similar kind of ranges, we're getting similar charge times, we're getting at similar price points. I feel like we're getting back to the point where people are buying cars they want, as opposed to what's necessarily going to be the absolute best bang for buck, because there was just so much disparity between the different products.
I really agree with that actually because I'll put some footage over this bit here, but there's a section where it's just a line of cars essentially, and you've got every single different segment from every single different manufacturer. At this point in time, you are not choosing a car because it's electric, as we were saying off camera. You are choosing a car because you like it, you enjoy it, you need it for the practicality. You can do that now, especially with some manufacturers who basically have 3 different powertrains for the same vehicle. That obviously makes the choice a lot more straightforward. But again, we're now seeing real sort of a mix across every single market segment, from the little tiny super minis, which I think was neglected a little bit for the EV space. But now you've got obviously the Dolphin Surf and the TO3, which was here.
Yeah, Dacia Spring.
Dacia Spring, absolutely. And they've actually recently updated the power output on the
Yep.
Dacia
And
Spring.
of course, if you want to find out all the details, that you want to click up here in the top right hand corner, because I've done a video explaining all of that.
Absolutely, we're seeing that from the Super Mini side. We're seeing from the B segment vehicles as well. You've got things like the Dolphin, for example. C segment. Wait, is B segment Focus or C
No, so
segment?
B segment is your Corsa kind of size
Yeah.
car. So you're thinking your E208s, you're
Oh,
thinking
E208, sorry.
your Renault 5s, Ford Pumas. They're sort of like B segment. Then of course C segment, you're
Is
looking at
Astra or
Astra,
yeah,
Cooper Born, yeah,
that sort of
of
stuff.
thing. Yeah,
But the fact that we can say these things, even though 5, 6 years ago, I would have gone, right, so you've got a choice of the Tesla Model S or the Renault Zoe.
yeah. If you wanted a small car, you had the Renault Zoe. If you wanted a big car, you had the Tesla Model
Yeah.
S, and that was it, wasn't
Yeah.
it? It was kind of like, I mean, I think Jack, when we were here this morning, he said to us, today you could drive 150 different models of car
Yeah.
at this show. He said when we started this event, we didn't have 150 models for sale.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. It's just a weird kind of thing where you can literally stare out, onto the pavilion area over there, and you have all sorts of different cars for every single possible person in
yeah,
that place. And yeah, sure, absolutely. I know that I do a lot of EV centric stuff, and I think some people say that you don't understand what the regular person wants. And I think, well, the regular person drives about 7,500 miles a year,
mm,
on average, 150 miles a week. What more would you want? Do you want 300 miles range? Do you want 400?
And this is it. And
Yeah.
of course, if you can charge, I mean, I've come today, so the person you will have seen all my videos has been filming, Sarah. She's actually in that position now. She's had a cash car. It's done 147,000 miles, and it's decided it doesn't want to be a cash car anymore. So she's in the position where she's thinking, I need to change my car. I'm doing 12,000 miles a year, but 12,000 miles, when you actually break it down, it's 1,000 miles a month. It's over a 4 week period. It's as I say, it's nothing at all. And if you could put a charger at home, you're going to be leaving with a full battery every day. Who's doing 200 plus miles in a day? You're going to feel pretty tired after that. I don't know about you.
Well, I mean, I was about to say, I mean, yesterday I left work about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I've just done 220 miles. And the fact is that I don't do that on a regular basis. And I know that some people do that on a regular basis. But even something like, I remember having a conversation with someone at one of our Yorkshire EV club meets who says, our engineers need to go from London to Scotland and back in a day. And I'm sort of thinking, no, they don't. How is that humanly possible?
Well, it's what, London to Scotland, that's what, 8 hours?
Yeah, London to, they
Providing
said,
the traffic's good?
well, exactly. He said London to Edinburgh, that's 400 miles. And then what, do maybe an hour of work?
Yeah.
What kind of work? I don't know as an engineer.
Even if you even if you stopped in charge, because let's be honest, your bladder's not going to go that far.
No.
You stop, you have some lunch, and all of a sudden, we're getting like 10 to 80% in half an hour. So you're going to be topping back up again. And I think, if it's really that bad, go buy BMW iX3.
Yeah.
Know.
Or, go, and the thing is that I'm not suggesting in any way that every single person go EV. There are some limitations with it. For example, absolutely, if you haven't got off-street parking, but I will definitely say that I was on a panel for charging, and we were talking about lamppost charging and things like that. That's going to be the game changer, I think, because being able to turn every single usable lamppost into a charger will massively increase the infrastructure. But going back to it, there are some challenges. But I do see people with driveways and 3 cars on the driveway, and they are all petrol. How much mileage are they realistically doing in all 3 of those cars? Probably about the national average.
Yeah.
I think at this point, especially at places like Everything Electric, you can go and have a look at 100, as you say, 150 or 100 different car models.
In one place.
In one place.
I mean, if you try and do that through dealerships, you're going to be spending weeks, aren't you?
They probably won't even let you look at one, let alone 100, to be honest.
Yeah. So moving on from that, then there's obviously going to be some new dealers popping up, particularly with the brand Geely. Now they're here with their new EX5 in max trim, which, as I said in my video, automatically wins it brownie points because, of course, naming it after me. It's the same with anything. You want to make something better, just call it max.
Exactly,
And so, what's your take on the car?
Well, the X5, I'm a bit torn about this because absolutely, if I'm honest with you, even though I have reviewed a lot of SUVs on my channel, and don't get me wrong, people appreciate that, and I certainly appreciate that as well. The fact is that I just love the fact that things like hatchbacks and saloons have come back into the market, and estates have come back into the EV market. From my perspective, my kind of main worry was where does it fit in? Because Geely, as you know, is the parent company of Volvo, Polestar, and Lotus.
Yeah.
And I was kind of wondering, surely bringing that car into the UK, the EX5, which is pretty similar in size, I think, to the EX40, I think it is. I was kind of thinking, at what point is it diluting it too much, or is it actually targeting a different market? But what are your thoughts on it?
I thought it was a little bit sort of run of the mill. I think again, it's that kind of somewhat generic style, but I was really impressed with the interior on that car. I'll be curious to see how it looks with a darker trim, because I mean it just screamed like not suitable for families with that really bright interior. But I was really taken back by that. I think where Geely are gonna perhaps do really well with it is the fact that they've got a lot of good people around them, but they've also got an established sort of space with the likes of Volvo, with Polestar, with Tesla. There's an understanding within the European market with those products, and I think Geely are sort of coming in sort of a little bit below Polestar. They're looking at BYD, they're looking at Hyundai, they're looking at MG as that sort of positioning
Mm-hmm.
for that product line, and then Volvo are going to take the fight to the more premium brands. Likewise with Polestar, I kind of feel like Polestar's kind of like the replacement for Saab, maybe.
Yes, I know what you mean. I think it's because I think going back to what we originally said, the fact is we have so many different brands and market segments now, you can actually stratify your entire range. Geely being the one that competes with MG, and I think Hyundai's an oddball actually with that one, because I mean some of their cars they're putting out can easily be sort of BMW, Mercedes level of quality, but also performance and just the general around package. I
Yeah.
think it really has gone up there. It probably also helped that I think, was it Hyundai or was it Kia that stole the chief designer of Audi? I can't remember.
I
Was it?
think if memory serves me, it was Kia, but
Yeah.
of course we'll caption it down below
Oh
what the
yeah.
right answer was. But
Which definitely probably helped.
yeah,
But the other thing is yeah, I mean MG, but then they've got the IM5 brand now, which then competes with things like the Tesla and the BYD. So I think you might be right with that one. I think Geely with the EX5 has probably targeted not lower, but the lower than Volvo and Polestar. But whether or not I have no idea whether or not it will do as well on the market, or will it just, for example, push people away from the Volvo
yeah,
range? I'm not so sure. I mean, I remember speaking to someone about how Volvo has always been about safety, and you know that also links very, very well with making really good family cars. Polestar has always been the sporty brand of Volvo. So really, things like the Polestar 4, 5 are really high-end premium vehicles, and they do command a premium
yeah.
price.
And
So
then of course you're going to have the likes of BYD are coming in with Denza to sort
yeah,
of compete in that space. So, and and yeah, part of me does start to wonder. So many Chinese brands coming in. I mean, in a market that's already got 40 different car manufacturers or brands competing for one another, one has to ask, who are going to be the winners and losers? And one does have to think, is there going to be room for Geely? I guess only time will tell, and how good the product is will be a factor in that. But a little bit of a controversial one, and probably going to boot us off some press lists. But what hasn't impressed you at the show?
so what hasn't impressed me?
Yeah, what left you feeling really underwhelmed?
So this is the first time I've voiced this, I must admit. So when I had the BYD Seal, for example, so I've actually tested it on the channel. I absolutely loved it to bits. Genuinely, I thought, this is the best car that you can realistically get. And I would rather have one of those than a Tesla Model 3, is what I said. And that's going from someone who, from the age of about, I think, 12 or 13, instead of having a Ferrari on the wall or a Lamborghini, I did also have one of those. I had a DeLorean as well on the wall. But I had a Tesla Model S because I thought that is a great vehicle. And then I had the Seal and I went, nope, fair enough, I have a Seal.
Yeah.
I then went to have a look at the Seal back to back here, everything electric, compared to the IM5 and the new Model 3. I then went, right, what are the ranges? How is it doing? And the top spec BYD Seal has 354 miles of WLTP range. The IM5's got 445. That is a huge jump. Again, with a pretty, okay, it's got more battery in order to do it, but again, it's also cheaper, £5,000 cheaper, I believe, if I've done the maths correctly. The other thing as well is charging speed. That IM6 can charge at 396 kilowatt.
Do we even have chargers that can charge at that?
I believe that we have, I think, a couple in this country, but it's not widespread. We've still got a legacy 50 kilowatt network, let alone and obviously we've got Ionity and things, but that is a huge difference. And the BYD will only charge at 150 kilowatt.
Oh,
I know.
Just
Yeah,
throw it away.
just throw it away,
Why bother?
But I think it's not necessarily disappointment, but I'm kind of more interested to see what BYD is going to do, because surely they've got to update the Seal now. And interestingly enough, I think manufacturers are going to go down that route. I don't know how they're going to keep constantly innovating, because at this rate, I mean, I said on camera in my Everything Electric video that I had a Mark 1 ZSEV, and that was 6 years ago. You've now got the IM5 and the IM6 with 700 horsepower, 400 miles of range, and it's ridiculously insane rapid charging, and that's in 6 years. what on earth's going to happen in the next two? I have
Well,
no
I
idea.
remember I was speaking to a former colleague of mine, and he said, "We remember when the first Leafs came out, and he was selling those, and he said, yeah, on a good day you'd get 80 miles, and like on during the winter you'll get 60. But it's all right, sir, because you're only doing 226 miles a day, so you're only charging everything. And now we're getting to a point where it's like, you're going to be like you're charging almost as much as you're topping up with fuel.
Yeah.
I think for me, the car that disappointed me was the BYD Atto 2.
You know what? I know what you're saying because the problem with the Atto 2 that I thought was why on I don't know what niche it's trying to fill because you've got so let's have a look at the range at the moment as of October 2025. So you have the Dolphin Surf, which is obviously a low cost super mini. And when I say low cost, it's not Leap motor or spring, but it is much better than the spring and the
Yeah.
TO3. You've got the Dolphin, which is like a small family hatchback. You've got the Atto 3,
Yep.
which is compact crossover. I'm not quite sure Qashqai, probably more like halfway between Duke and Qashqai,
Yeah,
I
I'd
think.
say it's probably Qashqai sort of
Yeah.
size. Yeah.
Then you've got obviously your Seal and your Sea Line 7, and then you have the weird Seal U, which I don't really understand why that's here, if I'm quite honest. But
Yeah.
anyway,
I think that was probably more in reaction to the sales of EVs. They were quite low, and it was like, oh, we need to bring a plug-in hybrid. Well, we've got this one. Right,
just-
put the steering wheel on the right side and get it over here.
and then you've got the Atto 2, and you go, what is it? Is it Dolphin? Is it?
I mean, for me, it was sort of like I could sort of see it sort of sits in that Ford Puma, Skoda Elroq,
Yeah.
Hyundai Kona sort of space. I just sort of sat in it and I just thought this just feels really underwhelming. And when you look at it, it's like it starts at 30 grand, and then like you can get into a JQ7. It's a bigger car, arguably feels better, and I just kind of thought, is BYD starting to get a little bit too confident now that they can think, oh yeah, we can put that out, we could charge the same as everyone else? It just felt a bit ordinary to me. I don't know.
As you said at the start, if we end up losing press contacts for this, but I think you're right. I think BYD, they obviously they hit the ground running last
Yeah.
year, absolutely amazing. I mean, I had an Atto 3 on test at the London to Brighton Rally. This makes me go, you know what, MG are worried. I honestly would then go, most European manufacturers should have been worried as well.
Yeah.
But in that short space of time, as you say, we've got Deepal, we've got because they had it was the SO7.
SO7,
Yeah,
they had that,
SO7.
and of course they had it at the show up in Everything Electric London
Yes.
earlier in the year.
And you've also got, again, JQ's now actually brought out a much larger range with the E5, for example. And as you say, 30 grand for an Atto 2, I mean, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, I think even in the sort of Chinese tables, I think there's better out there.
Oh, yeah.
Coming in at that price point. I'd be really curious to know how the Atto 2 looks on monthly payment, because it might be that it comes out really competitive. But when I'm looking at things like the Puma, you can get that sub 30 grand, and that's an established known product. I mean, the Puma is best selling car in Britain, so
Well, the thing is as well, I mean, I test drove the Puma at the motor show and I thought it was great. I thought it had the magic of the Puma, which is ever so slightly sporty.
yeah.
I'm still very, very annoyed that they never made a Fiesta electric car or replacement, because frankly speaking, I think they should have.
Well, with a partnership with VW, that we may see an ID Polo based Fiesta, but it's kind of feels a little odd saying that, because the Polo and the Fiesta are always sort of like going at it,
Exactly.
head to head. So to know that then one of them is going to now be based on the other feels a little bit. Don't know how I feel about that, but
I also found that weird that the new Transporter's based on the Transit Custom.
Yeah.
I kind of went, they were always head to head for years. And let's be honest, they were die-hard fans of both the Transit Custom and the Transporter. And
yeah,
well, now I guess, and the Ranger and the Amarok.
yeah.
So, I guess, it really has become.
But then it's a case of, brands need to do this to be able to keep being able to put out those sort of products we like. I mean, there's even talk of like the next Mazda MX-5 is going to be a collaboration between Mazda and Toyota. So, I guess it's a necessary thing to do. But I think one area where the European brands have certainly got the Chinese covered is heritage.
Yeah.
I mean, you just got to look at the Renault 5. you know, every show I go to, that car is absolutely swamped by people. It's just everybody wants to check it out and everybody loves it. For me, looking at it, it was the first car where I saw people go, you know what, that would be the car that would convert me to electrical. Or I wouldn't hear people saying, oh, it's great, but they should have done it with a petrol engine because, you got Clio for that. But, they just absolutely nailed that car. And I think that's where technologically, could the Chinese bring something out better and cheaper? Well, maybe. I mean, when I drove the Dolphin Surf, I said, if you were comparing an entry level Surf, it's coming in at around Dacia Spring money. I'd say it was a better car, but would I be saying that at the top end of the range against the Renault 5? Probably not. I still think the Renault 5 is that better car. And that's where I think the Europeans have got it. But I think we'll wrap this up because they're about to start doing, if you could probably see behind us, they're about to do the Zap Heap Challenge. And hopefully, by the fact that that is in shot, that Robert Llewellyn isn't going to copyright strike this video. Please, Robert, please, I love you.
We'll find out. But yeah, it's been absolutely amazing. And you know what? Again, I mean, everything electric. I think there was a period of time when I did think at one point in last year, especially when I went up north, that for the Everything Electric North, I did kind of think like, what would happen to this? But this year, I mean, I've just been out on the floor. It's been absolutely jam packed, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And this is definitely the premier place to, if you are considering going electric and you don't want to, let's be honest, listen to my Facebook comment section, it really is the best place to do it. And it's only when you really are down on the ground and you're test driving literally 10 cars all at once where you realise that's the case.
Yeah, and I think even if you go to some places like, even like your Paris and your Munichs of this world, I mean, a ticket to Munich, I think it was something like £400.
Wow.
And even then, you've got everything so far spaced out. At least with Farnborough here, it's a very compact exhibition space. So you can walk up and down the hall in like 10 minutes, but there was so much to see in that time that you can easily spend a whole day here, no problem at all. But I think we'll wrap it up before our viewers get bored. So Kev, thank you for your time.
No problem.
And of course, if you've enjoyed this video, depending on whichever channel you're watching it on, then be sure to give it a like and also click subscribe so you can be kept up to date, whether it be EVs on Kev's channel or, well, pretty much literally everything on mine. So if you do like your combustion stuff, then I can look after you. Don't worry about that. But of course, we'd really like to know what you think of some of the cars we've talked about, and of course some of our opinions. If you disagree, sound off in the comments, and the angrier you get, the better, because we like a heated debate in our comment section. So so otherwise, I think we'll leave it there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Max. And as I said, I do watch Max's channel, so I will be keeping up to date with the the Dacia Spring video. So I'll watch that when I get back. So thank you very much.
Yeah. And thanks, guys, for watching. We'll see you on the next one.
See you on the next one.